Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. Okay, so this is the stat roundup for 2023. I'm going to do my fourth quarter stats first, and then I will do some yearly stat compilation at the end. And I want to thank the Storygraph app, who made this so much easier and who will allow me to track stats going forward with no effort on my part. And I am 100% here for the no effort stat tracking. It makes it so much easier to do stats when I don't have to sit there and pretend I'm a statistician, which I am not, and I shall never be. So, okay. So, fourth quarter stats. I read 20 books in the fourth quarter. I read a total of 9,663 pages in the fourth quarter. I believe there were 20 new to me authors, and I had 20 DNFs. So, right on par. It wasn't a great reading quarter for me, but that's okay because I learned a lot about the last quarter of the year and Booktube and what does and doesn't work for me, and Bookmas does not work for me. It eats too much time. It sucked all the joy out of reading for me for a good 6 weeks, before, during, and after. Just I was on book overload. So will not be doing Bookmas this year. I'll probably be doing the 12 Days of Christmas at the end of the year, but I can stagger those videos well before that, and then I'm not, it's, half the number, it's over, it's just going to be better. So, year-to-date totals. So, for the year, I read 144 books, which it didn't feel like I read that many. And I say I read 144 books, and yet there are some people on Booktube that read in excess of 300. So if you're playing the comparison game, I'm a slacker. Good thing I don't play that game in general, because that would be just depressing. So I read 54,351 pages in 2023. I read 77 new to me authors. I also had 77 DNFs. Those two numbers, while identical, do not correlate to each other at all. I'm surprised my DNFs were so few, to be honest. I felt like I was DNFing every other book for a while. Obviously I wasn't, but I am very happy with the 77 new to me authors. I had a goal for 23 new to me authors in 2023 and blew that one right out of the water. So good job, Tammy. So the per month average was a 4,529 pages per month, 12 books per month, and 6.5 new authors and 6.5 DNFs a month. So, right on par. I I'm overall not unhappy with any of those stats. Um, yeah, I'm pleased. Okay, so I went and grabbed my reading journal. So let's talk about the 2023, my personal reading challenge. I will link that video down below. How I did. So, did I read a classic in 2023? I did. I read Middlemarch by George Eliot. 23 new to me authors. Yep, blew that out of the water. Did I read at least one science fiction? Yes. Yes, I did. Recorder by Kathy McCrum. Markmaker by Mary Jessica Woods. Read both those. Children of Dune. Frank Herbert. Read that. At least one historical fiction. Too many to name. At least one fantasy. Again, too many to name. The Risen Kingdom trilogy. Fourth Wing. And many others. At least one middle grade. I did read at least one middle grade. Couldn't name it off the top of my head. Oh, yes I can. I read The Green Witch by Susan D. Cooper. At least one police procedural. I did read a Vera Stanhope book. One cozy. Too many cozies to name. One fairy tale retelling. I did read The Heart of the Sun Warrior by Sue Lynn Tan. It is a book 2 of the Celestial Kingdom duology. I highly recommend this series. Do yourself a favor, even if you know nothing about Chinese mythology, go read this series. It is the number one, Heart of the Sun Warrior. It's the number one book that emotionally wrecked me in 2023. I ugly sobbed for 20 minutes after that book concluded. The oldest book on my TBR, which was The Hobbit, I did read. The longest book on my TBR, which was Texas by James Michener. It's a soft DNF. It's filed away in my spare bedroom. Texas wasn't bad, but it's really a historical short stories that are loosely connected, and I was not in the mood to read short stories at the end of the year. And by short stories, I mean mini novellas, and thus the soft DNF. I will finish it, just it wasn't going to happen in 23. Read romance. Read more romance last year than I have in the last decade. Read a nonfiction. I did read a nonfiction this year in 2023. I finished the Abigail Adams by Woody Holton. It was a very dry, very technical biography of Abigail Adams. I cannot recommend. Finish a series that is complete. I finished a couple, none of which I can name off the top of my head. And then a book set in winter, a book set in spring, a book set in summer, a book set in autumn. All of these were easily fulfilled by a cozy mystery for me. No problem. A book set in South America. I read The Seven Sisters by Lucinda Riley. I loved that book. It was set in Brazil. A book with 14 letters in the title. My original choice was The Western Wind by Samantha Harvey. I soft DNF'd that book. It is in the guest bedroom for seeing if I can pick it up later. I did read something else that had 14 letters in the title. Couldn't tell you off the top of my head what that was, but I did complete that prompt. A book of short stories. I did read that. That would be Reunion Beach. It was a library read. It was okay. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I would not recommend it. It was just okay, an American classic. Did not fulfill that prompt. A book with animal companions. Yep, this was not hard. Again, any cozy mystery I read this year had an animal companion in it, most likely. An audiobook. My most recent audiobook finish in 23 was Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Yeah, don't read it. Don't. It's not worth it. Book outside my comfort zone. Yeah, that would be, I will link the video down below. The Silent Patient by Michaelides. Oh, very bad book. A book gifted or loaned to you. That pretty much is any book on my shelf. However, I did get books from my neighbor, and I did read Three Sisters, Three Queens. Even though I DNF'd it, I did read like half of that book, so I'm counting it for that. A book set in the ancient world. Biblical fiction fulfilled that for me. Book about flowers or with flowers on the cover. I had many books that fulfilled that prompt. A book of poetry or a play. I read The Adventures of Tom Bombadil. And the shortest book on my TBR was Green Witch by Susan Cooper. So I fulfilled, I want to say, 29 out of 31 prompts. I am pleased with that. Was it a great, perfect year? No. Was I expecting perfection? No. So that's okay. Overall, 2023 was a successful year. I'm proud of myself for Booktube. I don't normally do personal reading challenges, so I'm proud for that. Expanded my reading horizons. It was a good year. 2024 will be even better. And so I'm going to go edit some videos and pick up a book. I will talk to you all later. Please leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.